Every Miami Hurricanes fan is still buzzing about Cam Ward, and rightfully so. But let's get into those weeds. How good is he?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch or your second listen today. Just got back in town, so we're going double time. We are available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. To help me break down Cam Ward, I had to bring in the master of breakdowns. This dude does such an awesome job on his YouTube channel, 365 Canes Football. You can find him on X at 365 Canes Info. The man, the myth, the legend, Stevo. And Stevo, this is long overdue, my friend. How you doing?
Thank you, man. Appreciate the hype, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, it is long overdue. You know, I think we've met more times in person than we've been able to connect on like a pod. Because even when we do like the round tables, we just always seem to miss each other. So it is long overdue. Nice to see you, man. Hope you had a great vacation. That must have sucked, but also good to drop on you in the middle of, the Bahamas. So hopefully you had a great trip, man.
Yeah, I've been joking about it, but I don't know, maybe I'm kind of serious that like Cam, he was waiting for me to leave town to drop the news, right? Because he had like the last 5 weeks to commit to Miami. He waited till I left town. But and I know you were waiting a long time for this one, Stevo, and you do such a good job with the film breakdowns. And I know you've done extensive study on Miami's new quarterback addition, former Washington State quarterback Cam Ward. So I got to ask you, man, reviewing the film, I've imagined you've gone through hours of it. What stands out most to you about Ward?
Yeah, hours of it stands out to most of me is his ball placement. I think he's probably the most accurate 50-50 ball placement, thrower that I've seen in a while. So a lot of those times you see these highlights, everybody's posting on stuff, and a lot of these guys really don't have that much separation, but that ball is coming to the outside shoulder away from the defender where they can't do anything, but just be there in the way. So I think that ball placement is really what stands out for me. He has a good arm, strong arm. He could throw it 56 to 57 yards in the air, even from the opposite hash. So that checks off arm strength. But man, like his ability to extend the plays, but look downfield is got to be that's the it factor. A lot of things that we haven't been used to as a Hurricanes fan, a quarterback, being able to break containment and extend the play, the last few years, not that that's a problem with TVD, but he's the type of quarterback where, once that play concept is it's it. There's no off script play coming on, So now a defender and a defense, it puts so much pressure on them because now they could do everything right during the passing concept. And then here comes Cam breaking containment. And next thing you know, it didn't matter what you did the first 2 seconds of the play, 3 seconds of the play. Now you got a guy breaking containment and he's looking at fire downfield.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, on the flip side, are there any potential concerns you see? Like a lot of people will bring up, he does fumble a lot. Now, I also feel like, hey, you get him behind arguably the best offensive line he's ever played for because he didn't have the best protection the last couple of years. I would expect the fumble numbers to come down. Is that or anything else concerning to you?
Yeah, so 14 fumbles, that screams, okay, we have to focus on ball security. I do agree. The offensive line, he was running for his life at times at Washington State. You got no matter what the excuse is, you can't put the ball on the ground 14 times. It just is what it is. 7 interceptions versus how much pass attempts he had. That's fine. I don't really care for the number of interceptions. I've seen a couple of them that are off drop passes. A couple got tipped. Is what it is. But the fumble in 14 times, they obviously didn't lose all 14. 2 hands on the football because you got a quarterback who likes to extend plays. He likes to make magic happen. And then you can get in trouble because, if you don't feel that pressure coming from the backside. So that's why he got into those fumbles. Obviously, I think, the offensive line will help. But he didn't have a running game to lean on in Washington State. He was that entire team in that offense, the receivers and him. So the offensive line is going to help him, but being able to protect Cam by handing the ball off to Mark Fletcher or Henry Parrish or A.J. Allen, just being able to get those type of yards by handing them off and not everything being on his shoulders, I feel like he won't have to play as much hero ball. He played a lot of hero ball at Washington State. You could tell he was the best player on the team. and that's just what you have to do. So I think cutting back on some hero ball and then the ability to lean on the run game will kind of mitigate some of those, at least fumbles, in my opinion.
Cam Ward last season at Washington State, obviously a really pass-heavy and offensive-heavy conference, but he threw for over 3,700 yards, which was more than any ACC quarterback threw for last year, including, Drake May, who was in the 3,600 range. Ward had more passing yards than any ACC quarterback did last year. And I think about Miami had some receivers, Stevo, put up good numbers last season despite inconsistent quarterback play. Xavier Restrepo, best in the ACC, one of the best in the country. Jacoby George was up there near the top of the ACC. Miami's got some young guns at receiver who have the opportunity to step up. I hope the tight ends can get more involved this coming year. So you think about Miami's pass catchers. Who do you think can take a jump, and who do you think can benefit most from Ward coming in?
There's definitely more guys that could take the jump, in my opinion, just because you're going to have a lot of times where we had to maybe not be able to scramble for a first down, or TVD has to throw the ball away and just, not take the sack or eat it. Cam's going to be able to wiggle for a first down. We'll get more plays. So you'll get guys to rotate more in. When you drive the ball consistently on offense, you move the ball consistently on offense. It allows you to get your twos in. It allows you to switch out on some receivers. But it has to be Xavier Restrepo who's going to benefit the most, because that's why he came back. He wasn't going to come back for a non-Cam Ward quarterback. I'm just being real. But he knew that type of player was coming, regardless if it was going to be now or in spring. But yeah, he's a guy who's super quarterback friendly. With a quarterback who's as accurate with ball placement as Cam Ward, he's going to love Xavier Restrepo. It's because he's always going to understand where the zone coverage is. He's going to get in that opening. If it's man coverage, he does such a great job just eliminating any type of leverage a defender has. His highlight tape, like if you just look through his thing, like, bro, it's disgusting. The way, obviously, I know X and and Jacobian, they train with gold feet, and I'm biased, and everybody tells me that. But man, the proof is in the pudding. They are some of the best route runners that understand how to create space. Jakari Brown, that touchdown he threw to X, the one that counted, the one that should have counted, bro, X was open for like 10 yards, and that's what the separation does and stuff like that. Cam Ward's gonna love guys like that.
Yeah, well, something I want to break down with Stevo when we come back is Cam Ward's fit in Shannon Dawson's offense and how that's going to look, because there are definitely some, not all, but some similarities with the offense Ward was just in for the last couple of years. So I think it could be a smooth transition for him. Man, we're not done yet, my friends. In fact, we're only getting started. You want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. And I know you're keeping it locked to FanDuel. My Miami Dolphins had not so fun exit from the NFL playoffs, but my playoffs continue because I've got that action going on at FanDuel. There's still time to get in on all of that with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. That's the best way to find popular parlays and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. We are also proudly brought to you by Jace Medical. They're doing great work out there, guys. According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin. That's scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if my wife or my son got sick during a supply chain issue, and that may keep them from life-saving medications. Thankfully, we're going to be okay because of Jace Medical. The Jace Case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics that treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among so many others. This stuff can happen to any of us, guys. So visit jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. and complete your physician encounter. It's going to be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. So happy to have Stevo, who does some of the best breakdowns out there. Make sure you follow him on X at 365 Canes Info, on YouTube at 365 Canes Football. And, one of when Ward was given, the many reasons why he likes Miami and why he decided to come to Miami instead of going through with the NFL draft plan, he spoke very highly of Mario Cristobal, Shannon Dawson, and Shannon Dawson's offense. How do you think he's going to fit into that?
I think it's actually a perfect fit, to be real with you, when it comes to, he likes to push the ball vertically. I think everybody knows when the offense was clicking, that's what Coach Dawson wants to do. He wants to push the ball vertically. Obviously, there's a mesh between the power run game with our head coach and his offense, and it was working pretty well until some things got shaky. But deep in his soul, he wants to stretch the field. And our receiver coach, Kevin Beard, is all about that. They want these explosive plays. They want the stadium to explode. So he knows that, you want a quarterback who could push the ball 55 yards from the opposite hash and, make those type of game-changing throws. And, what other offensive coordinator is going to do that for you?
Yeah, no, that's well said there. So Stevo, this whole saga, it was crazy. And like we mentioned, I was on a cruise ship on Saturday night. So it's like I couldn't really start covering it for my viewers and for my listeners until earlier on Monday. So I'm like, my head is still spinning. I'm still catching up on all of this. I will say that it feels really great to ultimately land the guy who was Miami's top target all along. And typically, Stevo, when a saga plays out for this long, like when you start getting to 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, it usually doesn't end well, right? I mean, how many times have we been down this roller coaster?
Yeah.
Or Monty McClain last year being one of them, where people are like, oh, he's going to end up signing that letter of intent, and then the longer it goes. So this is the one that changed that trend. So as far as how this went down, Stevo, like how surprised were you on Saturday when Cam Ward committed to Miami? Did you think there was still a possibility at that point? Because I will admit, I had turned the page on that. I was thinking about Talia Tagovailoa for the last week. I wasn't really thinking about Ward anymore.
Yeah, you hear the little Tua waiver talk going on. I honestly had no idea what's happening. I seen when D-Train posted the tweet, there was really only two people it could have been. And I was like, oh, it couldn't be Cam Ward. But it ended up being him.
Yeah.
But I honestly found out through a text, like, oh my God, Cam Ward just committed. And I was like, oh, thank God it did not delete his video. So then I had no Wi-Fi. So posting it on Twitter or X was atrocious, because I had to make a 6-minute video cover for him, and that thing would not post.
Wow.
It was out of left field, to be honest.
Wow, no, it's crazy. So, now we look at the quarterback room. I talked about it earlier today on my earlier episode, but it's like I think there's just a great mix of experience, youth, and competition. I don't expect a QB1 competition. It's Ward's job, pretty obviously, but I think it could get pretty heated for the backup spot, Stevo. When you look at Poffenbarger, who came in, our guy Jakari Brown, Emory Williams, once he recovers from the broken arm. Judd Anderson gets to learn for a little bit, take that red shirt the first year. So I like the way, with Ward being at Miami for a year, I like the way that can set up for perhaps one of those guys to be QB1 in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, one of those guys might have been QB1 in 2024. We were moving forward like this wasn't going to happen. I mean, it does change the trajectory. I mean, you think about everybody, the question marks about the quarterback room. As soon as TVD entered the portal, which, everybody kind of knew was going to happen. But once it happened officially, I was like, okay, obviously now we have a void at quarterback, a starting level quarterback, right? Jakari Brown did well in the bowl game, but not enough starting experience for you to ride on year 3 of this program for. It's a big year for Coach Mario and his staff. Year 3 is big. No matter what, college football has changed, but head coach's year 3 is a big year, no matter who you are or where you're at. So he needed somebody with some starting experience. It started off with Reese Poffenbarger, who was an FCS All-American. In my opinion, he was the number 1 FCS quarterback. I love Poffenbarger. My film review on him, I had so much fun doing it. I had ties to Albany. I know you're in the group chat. We talked it up a lot. But that's so crazy. You bring in the number 1 FBS transfer, depending on what site you look at. Cam Warren's number 1 or 2, whatever the hell you want to go at. But you bring in the number 1 FBS transfer quarterback. Then you bring in the number 1 FCS quarterback. You definitely set yourself up, because Poffenbarger has room for to grow still. He has multiple years of eligibility. He's not a 1-year backup. He's a guy that can back up and then battle whoever's left on the roster next year moving forward. And I do think that's actually the healthiest thing that could have happened to our QB room, because last year we had inexperienced backup. If something, God forbid, happens to Cam Ward, he just has to come out for a little bit, not saying anything like that, you at least have a guy with 2-year starting level experience who's competing with your young guys. So that's an option to put in.
Yeah, no, I love that. And guys, I love Stevo's channel. Make sure you check him out on YouTube at 365 Canes Football. Follow him on X at 365 Canes Info. I'm so glad we could do this, and I'm sure we'll cross paths many times in the coming weeks. And I'll probably bump into you at Canesware at some point, but we'll do this again, Stevo. Thank you so much.
No problem, bro. Appreciate you having me, man. Go Canes. And whew, we got Cam Ward, baby.
I'm still relieved and I'm still thrilled. Oh, man. So, guys, you want to make sure you subscribe to Stevo's channel, subscribe to our channel at Locked On Canes. You can get us on the audio version anywhere you get your podcast. Get us, of course, for free on YouTube. And we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.